Remember the gold phone the Trump family announced? It's called T1, cost about $500, and was the flagship smartphone of Trump Mobile. Well, it was supposed to come out last summer, but it's January 2026, and the phone is still nowhere to be found. Nonetheless, for a $100 deposit, you can still order them through the Trump Mobile website. And the Associated Press has been tracking this and found that originally the company said the T1 would be, quote, designed and built in the USA, but now the website simply says it has an American proud design. Analysts believe this marketing shift came when Trump Mobile realized the US lacks the supply chain to make a smartphone for less than $1,000. The same hurdles that made it impossible for Apple to meet President Trump's demands and move its manufacturing from China and India to the US. Now, Trump Mobile hasn't responded to inquiries from the Associated Press about what's causing the T1 delays or when is it expected to ship, but the Financial Times reports that a Trump Mobile rep told them that the phones will ship at the end of January and blamed the delays on the government shutdown last year, even though that was long after the original release date. In the meantime, the company is pushing its wireless plan for $47.45 a month, as well as offering refurbished iPhones and Samsung smartphones for sale. News girls in the Associated Press will be tracking the T1's release.
I was told I'll get my Trump phone by the end of the year, and it's the end of the year.
Thank you for calling Trump Mobile.
Thank you for calling Trump Mobile. This is Ricky. How can I assist you?
Hey, I was just calling about an update for the T1. I know the end of the year was the target. Just wanted to see if you had any updates on that.
Yes, sir. So production did stop a couple of weeks ago due to the government shutdown, but it is going to be, but it is back up and running now, and it's going to be releasing at the end of January.
Sweet. Thank you. Because of the government shutdown? What does the government shutting down have to do with a private company not making a phone? Is the government making the phone? I bought it as a joke, but you also have to remember, there are people out there that spent their hard-earned money, $100 of it, to buy a phone that they're never going to release. They just come up with new excuses every month. I feel bad for the guy that has to answer the calls.
T1 Trump phone is likely not what you think it is. When President Trump announced that the T1 phone is going to be made in the United States, people were trying to find Chinese analogs. Specs-wise, except for the camera position, and looks-wise, it's really closely related to a Chinese company analog called WinkTech Revel 7 Pro, also sold in the US by T-Mobile and branded as T-Mobile Revel 7 Pro. To me, it looks like this doogie phone, but the specs don't really match. In fact, if you compare the specs between the Revel and the Trump phone, you would see lots of similarities between them, including changing the screen size on a website from 6.78 inches down to 6.25. The feasibility of making this phone 100% in the United States in the absence of chip manufacturing technology that's required for making a phone like this is close to none. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll get the Trump phone.
Have you seen the new Trump phones? No, you haven't, because they don't exist. You may remember in June that Tweedledee and Tweedledummer here announced the T1 phone. So it was a gold smartphone with an American flag on it that was supposed to cost $499 and be made in the USA. A few short weeks after the announcement, they had to take the made in the USA claims off the website because someone must have informed them that a fully made in the USA smartphone isn't a thing that exists, and if it did, it would cost way, way more than $499. Now, the fact that this phone does not exist did not stop them from taking $100 deposits. If you paid a $100 deposit, you'd be the first in line to get your hands on the T1 phone when it was created. August rolled around and people must have started saying, hey, where's my phone? So they made an announcement that the wait is almost over. They shared this image of a phone, of the T1 phone. Thing is, this image is actually a Samsung phone with a brand called Spiegen's case on it. And you can tell it's a Spigen case because they didn't even Photoshop out the Spigen logo on the back of the phone. Spigen got wind of this and threatened a lawsuit on Twitter. Around that same time, multiple news outlets paid the $100 deposit just in order to track the status of these phones. They wanted to try and get some information and find out what was going on. NBC apparently made 5 different calls to customer service at Trump Mobile to find out when the phones were going to be released. And each time they were told a different day. First it was August, then it was October, then it was November, then it was mid-December. They even tried to blame the government shutdown on the lack of Trump phones. Now, since the T1 phone doesn't exist, they've started selling refurbished iPhones and Samsung phones on the Trump Mobile website for $500 for the same price that you would have paid for this brand new, non-existent Trump phone. Because they know these people will fall for the grift. Apparently, the Trump Mobile service also, which is touted as this low price, great deal, it's $45, $47, because it's exactly the same as other discount carriers, but more expensive. All it is a repackaged version of carriers that already exist. The only difference is instead of it saying Verizon at the top of your phone, it says Trump. Despite all this, they are still collecting $100 deposits, and I can only imagine how much money they've collected since they announced this phone in June. It's unbelievable that people fall for these grifts. I know it shouldn't be a shock, but it still is.
Do you guys remember when 590,000 Americans put down a $100 deposit for the T1 Golden Trump smartphone? 590,000 people. Do you think they're going to get that money back? Well, they might get their phone. It keeps getting delayed, but I bet you anything their phones will come out right as JFK Jr. rises from the dead to be Trump's running mate. Isn't it so weird that I could say all those things to you and they actually happened? This isn't some fan fiction. This is actual reality. And a lot of those same people, probably the exact same ones that put down a $100 deposit on a Trump smartphone, and the ones who believe JFK Jr. is rising from the dead, are also wondering why you didn't take them up on their offer to come to their church at Christmas time. You know what? I used to read about World War II as a kid, and I would be like, how the fuck were Germans this stupid? But I never envisioned a scenario where it would be my country and we'd be far fucking stupider. Like, the original series of events was HBO. This is like UPN or something. And I got news for you. There's no coming back from that. If you're sitting there going, what do you mean? We could come back from this. Just listen to the beginning of the TikTok where I said,
here at Trump Mobile, we believe that our company is a reflection of our father's presidency. We don't serve rural areas, and there's no coverage for marginalized communities.
Now, as some of you may or may not remember, back in June, when Donald Trump's spawn, Eric and Don Jr., announced that they would be starting their own mobile company called Trump Mobile, I took time out of my day and was gracious enough to come up with some marketing slogans for them. I was rooting for you guys, and you let me down because you told your customers that spent their hard-earned money on your product that they would be receiving them in August. It's November, and no one's gotten their phone yet.
And they were promising that these phones would be released in August. Here we are in November. I've been trying to get out to the call center every few weeks and say, hey, what's the update? And I've been perpetually told it's going to be released at the end of this month. It's going to come out next month. When I would ask about reasons for the delay, they didn't have much to answer for except for that they were working on this phone. At one point, they even blamed it on the government shutdown.
I am so interested to see who works at that call center. At the end of the day, it's probably nobody. Right? It's probably just an auto recording of KK Caroline berating customers for having the audacity to ask where their phones are. I don't think you guys should worry, though. The Trumps are notorious for being honest business people. And I am sure they're not accepting any money from their customers that have purchased this phone until they figure all of this out, right?
It's interesting because they've been taking $100 deposits, including from me, for this phone. Nowhere to be seen in terms of where the rest of this phone is, and it doesn't seem like anyone has gotten their phones. I even got a fraud alert from my credit card company when I tried to put in that $100 deposit, saying, "Hey, are you really trying to buy this Trump phone?"
Wow. Even the credit card companies are flabbergasted by the stupidity of people that have purchased this phone. You know you have reached rock bottom in your cult when even American Express reaches out to you and says, hey, are you sure you want to continue being a gullible idiot and giving Trump all of your money? But as the saying goes, there's a sucker born every minute. Maybe you guys shouldn't be so pro-life after all. Zing! And I'm going to end this video with some advice for the MAGA white Christian nationalists who purchased this phone on how to deal with it. It may be something you've never considered to do before. Just pull out. Anyways, bye!
Let's just do the math on this one. 590,000 people who supposedly signed up to get this phone and paid the $100 deposit. That is $59 million. Imagine giving $59 million to a president. It's hard to fathom that fact that regular, everyday, working American citizens gave a billionaire president $59 million and they're never going to get the product that they paid for. It's just really unbelievable. Now, are we really surprised that there's no phone to be found as of yet? No, I'm not surprised. I'm sure his people are surprised, especially the ones that paid the $100 deposit are probably a little upset right now or concerned. Or who knows, they may be wanting to give him that money because they feel like they're supporting him directly. I don't know. Just on a human level, just taking away if you're on the right or you're the left, Trump supporter or not. Ask yourself this: if for some reason anyone who actually paid that $100 deposit bought this phone and might be watching this video by some chance, imagine this. If a president has to scam its own citizens with money and try to grift in any way possible by releasing tennis shoes, guitars, watches, now a phone that's allegedly supposed to be all American made, which if you've seen the clips, they had to remove that claim from the website. So whatever you're going to get, if you do actually get a phone, it's going to probably be made overseas in China. But going back to what I was going to say, just on a human level, if a president has to do this to you, like why do you give him your support? And this man has no qualms about scamming you and taking your hard-earned money in this economy that we have right now. And you're so ready to defend him and he could do nothing wrong in your eyes and he took your money. At least if you're going to be a Trump supporter, don't fall into any of his grifts. Don't give him your money. I mean, to me, sometimes we just have to really just start asking the simple questions when it comes to this man. Like, what about this made you want to give up $100 of your money to support this when you have a perfectly working phone, most likely already in your possession? Really eager to find out that answer if I were to speak to someone that paid that deposit. But from the video that I have in here, looks like it's allegedly supposed to ship out at the end of January, which is in 11 days. Well, really in 10 days. It's the 21st today. In 10 days, let's see. They're probably going to push it back to February 30th next month. I feel like he's not going to stop the grip because imagine now, thankfully, 590,000, 600,000, that's a small percentage of the total amount of adults that, of course, live in this country. Very small. But the fact that that many people still fell for this is just still kind of unbelievable to me. Now, there was a clip that I saw of there was a guy that was testing out the actual service because you could also just get the service. You don't have to buy the phone as well, but it runs off of T-Mobile's towers. So, I mean, to me, I don't know if you could fairly judge that because they're just using T-Mobile's towers and it's in Trump's name only. It's not like Trump created its own towers to be able to be used for people that would want to elect to the service. So I don't know if that's anything marvelous, but I mean, if you want to switch over and support him that way, that's an option too from what I saw in the guy's clips. When you really sit here, if any other president would have done this, Republican or Democrat, would be selling phones, shoes, autographed coins and plates and plaques. Would we just be sitting here accepting this? I kind of feel like this would have been called out and like brought to Congress or something. But yet, just because we are used to the theatrics and the BS, we're just letting it slide. But us regular people, we knew not to fall into this. We would never fall into this, number one. But that's for the people who paid that $100 to have to worry about. But if we see this phone, we're going to see a whole bunch of things that are probably wrong. And that's the thing about it. They couldn't even hire a graphic designer or someone to illustrate like actually how their phone would look. They're just copy and pasting already existing phones and to use the phone case of the company Oh, that phone case company was already like, hey, you'll be hearing from my lawyers by the end of the day. I wonder how fast they reacted to that. I wish I would have heard about that, but yeah, it's just nothing original. Like any one of these grifts, any of these unnecessary products, who has received any of this? I don't know if anyone has ever received the shoes, or I know the watch. I guess maybe that's the only thing. I did a video about the watches having the T missing. But to me, I thought that they were just throwing this out there as, hey, we're going to do this. And it was just one of the things that fell through. I had no idea that they were actually being for real about it. But I suppose we'll see. We'll have to wait till February 30th to see this phone. Anyway, y'all, if y'all made it this far, I appreciate it as always. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Bye. See you later.